Okay, so this is the ninth lesson, which is the database, right? So in database, you are going to learn the fourth software, which is in your syllabus. So far we have learned about the word processing softwares, which is MS Word, and we learn about the spreadsheet software, which is MS Excel, and you learn about the presentation software, which is the Microsoft PowerPoint. And now you are going to learn about a database software, or in uh, in a proper naming. If I go to the proper naming, you are going to learn about the database management system. We simply call it a DBMS, right? So this is actually an electronic database management system, right? So now, like, the word database may be a little bit alien for you, so you can take the literal meaning of the database. Database is a collection of data, a place where it maintains a collection of data. So there are many ways that you can keep your data collected to different kinds of objects. So in our case, in our lesson, we are going to learn about that these data are being collected to a component called tables, and these tables are interconnected in using the relationships, right? You get to know what are the relationships are in the lesson, and that's how a database management system is designed as a relational way, right? So since the tables are having relations in between in this database, so we tend to say it is as a relational database management system, or a RDBMS, right? So in simple terms, we call it a database. So what we have to remember is our data is inside one or many tables, right? Which are connected to each other in some different way, which will create a database, right? So when it comes to the very early days of the databases, like we tend to write things on a particular book or a particular file, or maybe a particular sheet, right? And we collect them in order, or we maintain it with a particular order. So that is, of course, a database, but it is not an electronical one, right? So this is a manual one, which we say. So what you can see as your example, the telephone number directory. So where you write the telephone numbers on the telephone directory. Maybe you are not into those kind of things. Most probably your parents, maybe your grandparents, most probably they will be recording the things even today in a small book, right? So when it comes to the telephone number directory, or a telephone number holder, they have a specific categorization by the letter in the alphabetical order. So it is easy for them to find some particular detail or some particular contact number. But it is even though it is been categorized in an alphabetical order, in a particular page, the data that has been recorded are maybe not in a specific format, right? So as an example, when your grandparent found a contact of someone, he may just write it as a name, as the name and the contact number. Later, if he found another one, he may what record it again on the specific page. But the day that he have start writing the book, he may have store it in one particular way. But later, if you think about today, he may be storing the data in a different manner. සමහට පළවෙනි දවසේ නේද සීයාවක ලියනකොට මුලින්ම ඒ යාළුවගේ නමයි සමහර ෆුල් නේම් එකයි contact number එකයි ලියන්න ඉඩ තිබ්බා. But if you think about nowadays නේද අපි හිතමුකෝ සමහරවිට අපි අතිම ඔය වගේ දේවල් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. right? ඒතර සීයා හදිසියට කෙනෙක්ගේ දෙයක් ලියනකොට එයාගේ නමයි ටෙලිෆෝන් නම්බර් එකයි විතරක් ලියවෙන්න පුළුවන්. එක පොඩි නමක එක කෑල්ලකුයි ටෙලිෆෝන් නම්බර් එකයි. සමහරලා ටෙලිෆෝන් නම්බර් එක මුලින් ලියලා පස්සේ ඉරි කෑල්ලක් ගහලා නම ලියවෙන්න පුළුවන්. So that is why I'm telling you there is no specific format of writing it, right? We store it, or like the people who are storing the data manually are used to store things in the way they receive, in according to the situation that they are going on. And think about the electronic telephone number system, or like the electronic telephone directory, which is comes with your smartphone. It always requires a particular name. It always requires the contact number, right? So you can save a number without a name in modern phones, but in early days, we must give it a number. Then we must give it a name, and then the number will be shown. So for any particular contact, it will be the same when you look into it. The details can be differ. Like if you think about a mobile phone today, when you go to the contacts, there are space to record the name of the person, the contact number, not only one. You can store many other contacts, as well as you can store the email addresses, the postal addresses, many other components. But it goes on the same format for everyone, right? If you know all these details about every person that in your contact list, you can fill it and it shows you in the same format. But when it comes to a manual database, it may differ. And as well as like later in your lesson, you will find there are many disadvantages of a manual database, since we are having this ad hoc manner of storing the data on manually, right? So yeah, here they have given a small definition regarding a database, just a database. So this will be suited for the both manual as well as an electronical ones. So it says collection of organized data can be defined as a database. So it doesn't matter whether it is electronical or manual. It is a common explanation regarding what is database, right? Okay, then they are talking about advantages of databases, right? And when it comes to this point, they are, I think they are referring to the electronic databases in most of the time, like so, like more efficient in retrieving information. Now, think about uh, the contact list of your phone, right? So if you want to find something, you just type the name. So it will filter and give you the things. But if you have written it on a book, so you have to turn the pages and see where the specific contact is, right? Easy to obtain copies, right? So when it comes to an electronical one, it is very easy to send you a copy right now. Like if you think about my contact lists, I am maintaining a contact list with Google Contacts, right? So if I log into my Gmail account, so there is a specific component called contacts. So this will show all the contacts of mine, right? So if I'm going to share this, I can easily share these contacts with my friends, right? So it is easy when it comes to a electronical database, right? And smaller physical space to store data, right? So like uh, you don't need to spend or like allocate a very big space to store it. If you take your mobile phone, it will be your mobile phone, right? And if you really think about the space on which takes only for the database, it will be a very small space in your mobile phone, right? Because it's a kilobyte or maximally megabyte size of a amount, right? But if you're writing it on a book, you may have you are for sure using more space than the electronical one, right? And data analysis can be carried out efficiently, right? Now this becomes a very useful tool when it comes to the electronical databases, right? Nowadays the trends of the market and many different trends are being analyzed due to these databases, right? If you think about the YouTube, if you think about the Facebook, if you think about any different social media, so they can quickly analyze how the customers or how the users of the social media behave, uh, like early, even today, and they can predict how they are going to behave in the future, right? So it can be easily it can be easily analyzed when the data is in or electronical way. But when it comes to a a manual data, it will give you the chance to do the analysis, but it will take time, right? And data can be shared definitely, as we talked earlier. And independence of data, it's like when you are having a database software, so like you can take that database uh, or like in rather the data anywhere that the software has, right? So if you got a database on your computer, you can take a copy or a backup and go and establish it on another database. So you only need the database management system, right? It doesn't matter where you are going to install it, right? The place, if that place is capable of having the database management system software, so you can carry your data at any place you want, right? And Suhara, people, give me a second. Okay, so the yeah, likewise. So before we comes to the features, let's quickly go through these things, people, right? We are not going to write it much, but the important facts must be taken down. People, are we clear regarding what we are talking about a database? Yes, everyone, is that clear? Today there are like only three in the room, maybe like others switch into the trip mods. So yeah, I was, yeah, I could have given you the chance, but it is not the fifth week in the month. So that is why I was having the thing. So people in the room, is that clear? What we have discussed so far? Right, great. Okay, so have the heading database. All right, so let's, yeah, write it like this. You don't need to write database concept. You don't need to. Uh, I will tell you what to be written. Yeah, yeah, copy this down, people. Right, are we done? Anyone who is still writing this? Yes. Very carefully. All right, moving forward. Yeah. As the next point, you can write it write this. Defining a database, collection of organized data can be defined as a database. So that will be the second point that you are going to write. Then we'll move to the advantages of databases. You only need to write the highlighted part as the point, as the points, one after the other, right? I'm moving forward, people. If you miss anything, just let me know, right?
Sir, can you move up a little?
Yeah, sure. Here you go.
Sir, එකට මේ heading එකක් තිබ්බද?
Yeah, the advantages of databases. It's the title.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. People, how about the others? Anyone who is still writing this? Okay, so moving forward. So let's now look into the features of databases, right? Or they are talking about features of database. And yeah, now when it comes to the database, this particular word, we call this redundancy. So this is a very famous word that we are talking about when it comes to the database. So uh, they are going to we are going to try to minimize the data redundancy. So first of all, let's get to know what is data redundancy. Right, so it is given the next line. If the same data is stored in several tables, this is called data redundancy, right? So if you find it something like this, now you can understand the data redundancy from this particular uh, example, right? So here they got two separate tables like admission table and library table. And here in this admission table, they got the student number, the particular name of the student, and the date of birth, and the admission date, and the name of the guardian. So it's generally keeping the data about the admission, right, of a student. And in the library table, what they are doing is they are having the student name, the name of the books, borrowed date, and the return date. So library table is specifying who has been borrowed the books, on which date, and what is the due date to return. So in these two tables, you can see the name, which is Firoza Rafiq, is also used over here for 2 times. Now, even though an admission happens only once, if you take in a specific school, the admission may happens only once, but the borrowing of books can happen for many times, right? So if we are going to store the name Firoza Rafiq, so like earlier it is been stored as Firoza Lai, and later it is been changed into the Rafiq. Lai has changed into the Rafiq. So the problem is when these data are repeat again and again, like is when they are using again and again, that means repeated, more times the repetition is happening, then more times, or like more possibility to have an error, right? Is because like there are three occurrence of the same data inside a one database, so these two can be inside a one single database. So if this name is getting changed, so all the occurrence of that name is going to be changed. Now think about that the Firoza Rafik has borrowed like hundreds of books from the library. So that means there will be hundreds of records in the library table. So in case if the name is going to change, the name has to be changed in all the hundreds of places in the database. If you miss a one particular place, it will later in the future it can be lead to a doubt regarding the data, which one is going to be the correct one, or like there will be a question like is there are two different people, is there two different people like which is called the Firoza Rafik and Firoza Lai. Now think about that, you have amend the name over here as well as here, but you forget to amend the name over here. So later when someone is checking the database, he may see, okay, Firoza Lai has been changed into Rafik. Here Firoza Lai has been changed into Rafik, but here it says Firoza Lai. So is it the same Firoza Rafik, or is it a different person called Firoza Lai? Right? Then there will be a problem. නේද? Firoza ලායි එක්කන රාෆික් කියලා චේන්ජ් කරලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් එක තැනක තියෙනවා Firoza ලායි කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ Firoza ලායි කියලා එක්කෙනෙකුයි Firoza රාෆික් කියලා එක්කෙනෙකුයි දැන් දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවද? එහෙමත් නැත්නම් කලින් වතාවේ මේක චේන්ජ් කරන්න කියලා හරියට චේන්ජ් උනේ නැද්ද? There will be doubts, right? Having doubts means it is affecting on the accuracy of the database, right? So when the accuracy problems are happening, it gives you the reliability issues, right? So then it will lead to many different things or many different problems regarding the database. Are we clear with this? What caused the redundancy and why the redundancy should be minimized? Yes, people? Yes, everyone. Are we clear with this? Okay, right. So the things or like the steps that we can take to prevent these kind of mistakes, we can keep the data somewhere like this. So here they are proposing three separate tables to minimize the data redundancy. So what they are doing is like they keep the admission data on a one table, they keep the book data on a different table. So it has what's the book number and the title and the author of the books. That's purely regarding the book details. The first one is purely regarding the student details. And they are maintaining a separate table to define the transactions, or like who are being borrowed and when to be returned. So there, what you can do is you can refer from these, we call these things the things are primary keys, right? So you can manage the data and the relationship of those using primary keys, right? So it is easy, right? And again, this solves the problem, right? Like if they want to change the name of a particular person, the name can be changed without a problem. Because when these primary keys are given, they are not intended to change, right? It's like your admission number. If they are not repeating the admission number by mistakenly, those admission numbers are not going to change. If you are given a specific admission number, it's your admission number forever, right? So under that admission number, there can be names, date of birth, date of admissions, guardian names, genders, addresses, and all these things. Those can be changed, but admission number will never change. So the person who represents the admission number can have changes. It doesn't affect the database. Actually, like rather we say it gives you a minimum effect on the database. Like if you are going to change the name, it's only a one specific place. There are no many other places to be changed, right? Since the primary keys are not there to be changed, so the relationship that they are creating are solid. Now this says Firoz Alai has taken the book number 2222, and the again the Manoj Dayaratna has taken the book number 3333 on this date. And Manoj Dayaratna has taken the same book on a different date, right? And Firoz Alai or the Firoz Rafiq has taken the basic mathematics concept book on this date. So we can easily identify what's going on, as well as it will reduce the repetition of the same data, right? Which will reduce the redundancy, right? And data consistency, right? So like data consistency can be established by minimizing the data redundancy, right? So as it says, by minimizing the data redundancy, the same data being saved in various tables can be reduced or prevented. This enables to maintain of data consistency. Like consistent means what? It's stable, right? So if you know about Kumar Sangakkar, he is known as the Mr. Consistency in cricket, because he is that stable on the wicket when he comes to play, right? The opponents know if he is on the crease, mm, unless he is doing a mistake, he's going to go for a good score, and he will be taking the team to the win. So he is consistent. So when it comes to the data, the same should happen, right? It should not change all the time. It should be, once it is being recorded, it should be there as it is, as much as it can, right? Maybe in a rare case it can be changed, but it should be consistent. So the consistent means stable. The opposite of the consistent means it is not stable. That means changing. Changes will be big in number if it is repeated in many cases. If the same data is not being repeated, so if a change has happened, it's only for that particular place, not for many particular places, right? Then we say the particular data is consistent. People, are we clear about the consistency? Yes, everyone? Okay, great. And increases efficiency, right? Definitely. Because, sorry, why it increases the efficiency? One particular data is only in a one particular place. So when we are going to search something, when we are going to edit something, when we are going to update something, we only need to look into that particular place. We don't need to spend time by going on the repeated places, right? So whatever the operation that is done during the like done regarding the database, will be take less amount of time, right? So it will lead to an efficiency, right? In the other hand, if data has been redundant, the efficiency will be very low because they have to go through many different places in case if they have to do any changes or in case if they have to retrieve something, right? So the example that they have said is like if the Firoza lie has been repeated everywhere, so when it is like when the time that is being spent to find these all places will take time. If it is only located in a one single place, they will just go to that particular place and take the data. That's all, right? And accuracy, as I told you, right? If the redundancy is minimized, then definitely the accuracy will be high, right? Or like accuracy will be reached to a higher accurate place, right? So minimum the redundancy will increase the accuracy, right? As well as the validity. Now, validity comes with the accuracy. If the data are accurate, that means it is a valid data, right? So the validity will be high or increased when the data are being accurate. So accuracy will be increased due to the consistency and minimal uh, usage of the redundancy, or like the minimum minimize it due to the minimization of the redundancy, right? Okay, so as well as regarding the validity, uh, we can apply some other constraints or other limitations when it comes to a electronic database as well, right? You are going to experience this particular interface when you are going to deal with the practical side of the database, and there we can set some limitations. So as it shows here, this gives you default value is 1000, validation rule is larger than or equal to 1000. That means like in a particular table, a particular field should contains a minimum value which is called 1000, or something should be greater than or equal to 1000, right? So no one will be given the chance to put anything less than 1000 in that column. But these rules can be set with the help of an electronical database. If it is a manual database and if we are writing things by our hand, by ourselves, then we can't apply these things. නේද? කවුරුහරි කියලා තිබුණොත් මේක we can forget easily, right? So it can lead to the mistakes. When the mistakes are happening, again the accuracy falls. Accuracy falling means validity will be decreased. All right, and the security. So, right, when it comes to the manual database, the security can be applied in a very limited number of ways. You can lock the book inside a cupboard or inside, like when it comes to the higher security, you can lock it inside a safe. And still, you can't secure the book by the natural disasters. When the time comes or when the time flies, the book will be degraded, right? And එක දිරන්න පුළුවන්, එක පුස්කන්න පුළුවන්, ලියලා තියෙන දේ බොඳ වෙන්න පුළුවන්, මැකෙන්න පුළුවන්. Those kind of things can be happen. So nothing can be applied to get rid of from those natural disasters, right? But when it comes to the electronical one, we can use a username and a password for the general security, and if you want we can use the advanced technique like encryptions, as well as we can keep the backups in many different places. So in case the major database had some hit or had a data loss, we have backups to be maintained, as well as like we can maintain this inside a cloud where everyone can access from anywhere if the given privileges are there, and it is easy to access, as well as it has a very high security, because when it comes to the concepts like cloud computing, like Google is providing you the cloud computing services, which you call the Google Drive, right? So I used to store my valuable data inside the Google Drive, specifically my notes regarding the ICT. So I can access them at any time. The beautiful thing is the security is given free of charge, right? Because to maintain the reliability of the cloud service, the cloud service provider, in my case, the Google, is providing the best security for my data, right? Then only I will be recommend this particular service to another. If the security is low, I will tell to some another person, don't use the Google Drive. It has less security, so you may go and use a different cloud services, not the Google. So since they need to maintain it, they provide you a very best security. Even though if it is not a cloud service, still you are using an electronic database. You can use uh, usernames, passwords, encryptions, backup facilities, and all these things to make sure the data has been secured. Right? So yes, yeah. Before we comes to the comparison, actually you know about this comparison already now, since we have talked about the things regarding the manual and the electronical one. Let's write about these things, Nether. Not in detail, people, just as some points, right? Yeah, it's better you say features of an electronic database. Yeah, people, even in the previous heading, it's better you amend it as advantages of electronic databases, right? Because it does not suit for the manual databases. So the previous heading, please change it as advantages of electronic databases. And even in here, you have to say features of electronic database. Right. So the feature number 1, minimal data redundancy. Minimal data redundancy, the first feature. Under that, put a star and say, what do you mean by data redundancy? Right. So the feature is minimal data redundancy, and put a star and say, this is what you call as data redundancy. Okay, moving forward, is there anyone who is still writing this? Okay, moving forward.
service.
Okay, thank you, Susu. Yeah, data consistency, the second point. This is going to be the third point. And this is going to be the fourth. Right, moving forward. Anyone who is still writing these things? All right, moving forward. Increase validity. All right, so moving forward, and this is regarding the security. Okay, people, are we done? All right. Yes, the next is the electronic and manual databases. Now, so far we have talked about this when we are talking about the other features earlier. So it's just what we call a comparison, right? So the manual database versus electronic database. So let's just copy this down, people. It's better you say electronic versus manual database, right? Electronic versus manual database. Say electronic vs manual database. And yeah, you can simply copy these things, this particular table. Let me know when you are done, people. People, are we done? Okay. Anyone who is still writing this? Okay. So moving forward. Yeah. So here they are talking about a relational database, right? Which is the one that we are going to use as a software is what we call MS Access is also a relational database. So in a relational database, the main object, the main object that we find is a table. And table is consist of two different things. One are the fields. For the columns of the table, we call them fields in database jargons. And for the rows, we called it the objects. I'm sorry, for the rows, we call it the records of the table, right? So the columns, they call fields individually. And this particular data row is called a record, right? So we generally say a collection of records is called a data table, and the collection of related tables is called a relational database, right? So in simple terms, how a record is being formed, it is like this: a collection of fields related to one person or an object is called a record. That means that is 100 Manoj Dayaratna, this date of birth, G Dayaratna, right? It should be the date of admission, right? Anyway, some particular date should be there. So those particular fields, actually the values under the fields, is forming a record. So generally in terms, the fields help to create a record. Records together will create a table, and tables together will create a database. And when these tables are connected or related, it tells a relational database, right? Okay, people, are we clear about this? What do you mean by the relational database? Okay, right. So let's write this up. Have the heading saying relational database. And then you may write about these three things. Let me know when you are done, people. All right, people, if you are done with this, you have to draw this diagram at home, right? Which shows you a table, the records, the relation, and when you are like writing the date of admission, it's better you put some particular date over here, not G Dayaratna and K5s, right? And put some date, right? And draw it, right? So yeah, since there are like only 2 people in the room, like I'm going to end the session from here just for today, right? By next week, we are going to continue from this place onward, right? So I will put the record into the website so the others can use it. So please finish this diagram, right? And so we can continue from that point onward, right? So people, happy 2023 for everyone. I'll see you on next year, 2023, right? For the same time to continue the lesson. Right. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to end the session from here just for today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye, sir.
Right.
Goodbye,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, sir.
Wish you the same, Dua. Wish you the same.